Good morning, everybody. It's Betty, and I am sitting here in Playa del Rey, and it's a beautiful day outside. Happy early Mother's Day to the mothers. Wanted to talk about day 7 of the key insights that I got from the Vipassana silent meditation retreat that I went to now 8 weeks ago, and it seems pretty impossible that I did this 8 weeks ago, and it actually seems like yesterday. I want to start by, hey Iman, how are you? I want to start by giving you an overview of what we reviewed last week, and that was day 6 of the 10-day silent meditation retreat. And if you have a piece of paper, you may want to grab something, because I'm going to be going over my notes for day 6, and then I'll walk you through my notes for day 7. So I'm going to be walking you kind of through a graph that I did, and so you could actually follow that way. One of the things that we talked about last week was beginning with a mental imprint that we have. And the mental imprint comes from an experience we probably had when we were little, or a significant experience we had with someone that created an imprint in our mind. And then that imprint comes into fruition when you have contact. And you can have contact either with your eyes or your ears or your taste or something tangible, a tangible object. For example, if I listen to classical music, or if I listen to a piece of music from someone specific, then I can remember the times when we went to this concert and it was a wonderful time and I was so young and we were so in love or whatever. So if you think about that concert left a mental imprint in my mind of happy times. Likewise, you can have a mental imprint of not so good times. And so if you listen, for example, hey Beth, thank you for joining. So that's a positive mental imprint. A negative mental imprint could be you listen to something, say for example, a bowl that drops, and you remember when your bowl dropped and you were really young, and maybe you got in trouble for it, and you became shameful because of it. That created a mental imprint or something like that. Okay, so then once you have the contact, so first is the mental imprint, and then you have the contact, and the contact can be, again, either music or something that you see that reminds you of something, a beautiful sunset or a mother-daughter or something like that. That creates sensations in your body. And so the sensations in your body, you feel the sensations before your mind engages. And that's the key to this 100-day, listen to me. I guess I'm wishful thinking, the 10-day silent meditation. So there is that link between the external object and your reaction is the sensation that you feel in your body. You're going to feel the sensation before your mind engages. Now, if it's a pleasant sensation, then you develop craving, or you could possibly develop craving. Craving is something like if you really want it bad enough. Last night we were watching a film, and it was of a big sale that was happening in a department store, and you could see the people waiting on the outside to come in, and it seemed like a department store where they had electronics. And as soon as the doors opened, all of these people walked in, and then there were people falling and people almost walking over the people, and they had such craving to come in and to get whatever it was, so much so that they could have destroyed each other without even regard to what was really happening. They developed this craving for this. That's not good. So the craving is one thing that you can develop with a positive sensation, and then an unpleasant sensation, you immediately develop an aversion. Now, you can have an unpleasant sensation based on ignorance. And ignorance is something I did not talk about last week. And actually, after I got off, I realized, oh my goodness, I need to talk about ignorance because this is such a big issue in life, in your personal life, as well as in your leadership journey. So you can have a negative or an unpleasant reaction to something, and you are making up a story in your mind about what that something or what the information that is coming to you, and your reaction is a negative reaction because it's unpleasant. And it could be because of a mental imprint that you had when you were little, or a reaction to something that happened to you in the past. So what happens then? You say, I don't want to talk about this, or, I just don't want to talk about it. Let me just completely get it off my mind, and then I don't have to deal with it. Well, is that really what you want to do? Or worst, I don't want to see that person because every time I see that person, they cause something unpleasant in my mind. But you don't realize that it's that negative sensation in your body that is causing you to think negatively against that person. And it could be all due to ignorance. Ignorance in the sense of you never asked to see, what did you really mean by that? Or you never took the time to explain to that individual, let me tell you what I did and why I did it. I had a situation just yesterday where in the morning I had a conference call with the president of my company, and he's someone I respect. And I said something and I hung up after I said it. And I realized after I said it, oh my goodness, I think he could have taken that in a negative way. I could have just left it alone. And I thought, no, I'm scheduled to talk to him later. I want to begin by clarifying so that he's not making up in his mind, oh my goodness, Betty said something. So when I got on the phone with him, I began by saying, I want to clarify something. I said something and it felt really yucky to me after I said it. And we were in such haste to hang up. I want to talk about it for a moment. First of all, I will never disrespect you. That would never be something that you can expect from me. But it sounded disrespectful after I said it, and it felt really bad in my body. And I just want to explain to you the reason why I said it. The reason I said what I said was I just wanted us to look objectively at the data and make decisions based on the data. So I didn't mean it to come across that way. I just wanted you to know that. And so it was amazing what was created as a result of that. We had a deep conversation about different things, and we went to places that we've never allowed ourselves to go. And it was all as a result of me realizing that I had said something that could have been misconstrued by someone else. Now, I felt it in my body. Now, I felt something negative. Why did I feel it in my body? Because I'm training my mind and I'm training my body. I'm training my mind to recognize the negative sensations in my body. And remember what I said last week. You're going to feel the sensations before your mind engages. And that's exactly what happened yesterday. Now, let's take the clock back for a moment. And let's say that I didn't say that I did not come back and explain to him, this is what I really meant. Well, he would have walked into my meeting with him, and it was a serious meeting where we were going to be discussing some pretty important things. He would have walked in thinking in his mind with a mental imprint about Betty being a disrespectful person. And maybe that could have turned into Betty being someone that you can't trust, or any negative thing that you could think about, because we do. We make up things based on ignorance. We do that. And so instead of doing that, I created intimacy with him. I was vulnerable, and I was able to just open up and say, it didn't feel right, and I just want you to know I will never disrespect you, at least not on purpose. And this is how I felt, and it felt really yucky, and I just want you to know this is why I said what I said. And then he totally understood, and we had the most amazing conversation, and it was great. But I'm finding that this is exactly what's happening now in my life, where I'm aware of the ignorance part of what we talk about when we talk about Vipassana in the meditation process. So we talked about craving, we talked about aversion, we talked about ignorance. So that's good, Ayman. Keep working on it. And so you have the pleasant and the unpleasant sensations. Now the sensations, because you begin to feel the sensations in your body, you immediately, that's what they call wisdom, right? Thinking about the sensations in your body as being impermanent is really important. And it was really underscored in the time that we had together during the Vipassana and the discourses, realizing that if something is impermanent, meaning a sensation that you have in your body or a situation, whether it's a negative sensation or a positive sensation, it's going to come and it's going to go. Because they come and pass, why are we reacting in a negative way? So the whole idea is to look at the sensations in your body, feel them from an objective point of view, not make up our own mind based on ignorance, but observing things objectively. I had another situation yesterday. Thank you, John. Yeah, it is a new perspective. I had another situation yesterday where I knew something was happening and then something was changing with someone. They changed the trajectory of how they normally do things. And immediately my mind went to negative. Why did this person do this? My Colombian mind and my Italian mind started saying, oh my gosh, why did they do this? And I wonder, and then I stopped myself and I thought, wait a minute, what am I doing? Who is this going to serve? If I begin to think negatively based on ignorance, because it's truly based on ignorance, I didn't know the facts. I still don't know the facts. Then why in the world am I making up something in my head? And that little thing that I'm making up in my head could become a mental imprint, so that now the next time I see this person, maybe I won't trust them. Why not? Because of something I made up in my head. It wasn't based on fact, and it wasn't based on objectivity and really looking only at the facts, looking at life exactly the way it is. So these are big, big lessons. So we learn how to act instead of reacting. So those are the biggest lessons from last week. And this is kind of how I wrote them. So you have the mental imprint, and then you have the contact, the sensations, positive or negative, which cause either craving or aversion, and then your sensations that really could cause wisdom. If they come and go, then why are we reacting? So this is pretty much it. And the fact that you learn how to act instead of reacting. And then I read something directly from the book that I bought there. By the time it reaches the conscious level, it has been repeated and intensified trillions of times and has become so strong that it can easily overpower the mind. And those are the things that, living life, my father used to say, la vida es linda sabiéndola vivir. Life is beautiful knowing how to live it. And this is teaching me how to live life and how to have a peaceful life and a peaceful mind in such a way that you experience life with such peace. So let's go to day 7 now. And day 7 is about awareness and what they call equanimity. It's really objectivity. So you heard how important it is to be aware of what is happening around you, and mainly your sensations in your body, because you're going to feel the sensations in your body. Yes. Oh my gosh, Joe, yes, 10 years. Thank you. So you feel the sensations in your body, and you are aware of what's happening in your body. The reason the meditation is so critical and so important, in this particular, the Vipassana meditation, what I learned was you are learning for yourself, and it's your own experience. So it's my experience is different than Juan Carlos's experience. It's different than anybody else's experience. It's my experience. And so when I meditate and I really focus on the sensations in my body, these are my sensations in my body. These are not his sensations or somebody else's sensation in their body. It's my sensations in my body and how I react to my sensations. So you don't have anybody else to blame. You don't have to look at somebody else. And it's not any deity or anything like that. It's just absolutely empirical. And it's how do I experience my own sensations? So you experience awareness of all the sensations within the framework of the body. Hey, that's awesome. Sanj too. Hi, Casey. So you experience the sensations in your body, and Sandra, yay. And so the sensations are impermanent. So we talked a little bit about the fact that if a sensation is going to come and it's going to go, why are we reacting with ignorance to a sensation that was the result of a imprint in your mind that was caused by a reaction that you had a long time ago? That doesn't make sense. So something that I wrote here is the conscious mind is unaware, but the unconscious mind feels the sensations and the body reacts. So if you were to graph this, and this is how I actually graphed it. So you've got the sensations, right? And so you've got the conscious mind. The conscious mind is usually unaware of your sensations in your body because you're paying attention to what's happening immediately in front of you. Now let's take a look at the unconscious mind. So the unconscious mind feels the sensations, and then your body reacts, right? So it's exactly what we talked about last week. Your unconscious mind is going to feel, your sensations are going to be present. If you are not in tune with your unconscious mind and consciously thinking or feeling the sensations in your body, you're going to miss it altogether. And that is the link between meditation and not meditating. When I'm meditating, I am sharpening my mind to pay very close attention to the sensations in my body that are caused by outside stimuli, whether I interpret the outside stimuli to be negative or positive. The negative causing aversion or the positive causing craving. Based on ignorance, I could interpret something wrong without really taking a look objectively at what I'm feeling in my body. And then those feelings, those sensations in my body. Hey, Randy. Randy, hey, how is Hong Kong? The sensations in my body, I'm going to feel those sensations, and then I'm going to interpret those sensations depending on how I have been meditating and really taking a look at things subjectively, or not meditating and reacting without thinking and reacting based on ignorance. That's going to create a positive reaction, or it's going to create a negative reaction. And it's up to us to actually take a look at that. So again, the sensations in your body, your conscious mind is really not aware, and then your unconscious mind then feels the sensations, and then your body reacts either in a positive or negative, either with craving or aversion. Now let me read something to you, because this was really profound, and I wrote it down because I wanted to read it to you. If the mind is trained to become fully conscious of what occurs within the physical structure, if the mind is trained, is the operative word here, to become fully conscious of what occurs within the physical structure, and at the same time to maintain objectivity, then the old habit of blind reaction is broken. Only then is the old habit of blind reaction broken. How many times have you been in a situation where somebody does something and before you even have a moment to think about it, you react in a negative way, and it's almost like your amygdala fires up and you go into your fight or flight reaction immediately, and then you say, I didn't mean that, I didn't mean that. Well, you really didn't mean it, but you've said it. Wouldn't it be wonderful for us to just be able to instead feel our bodies, feel the reaction, understand what the reaction is, look at the reaction objectively, and not react altogether? That's the key. One then learns to remain objective in every situation and therefore live a balanced, happy life. So let me walk you through what happened this week for me and the practical application of all of this that I'm learning. And this week was a magical week. Most of you know that I got to be a keynote speaker at the California Women's Conference. And there were also many highlights of my week. And I want to start with Monday. Monday, I had a meeting with the administrative assistants in my division. And for the first time, I thought about the administrative assistants. And some of you know that I was an administrative assistant for an engineering department when I was 16 years old. And I had already graduated from high school, and I had to help my mom because we were very poor, and I got a job. And I realized, because I've been in that job, I know that the job of an administrative assistant is the backbone of an office. They can make it or break it for the office. They can make it or break it for the team. They set the tone for the entire office. And so I realized, and I think I've been thinking deeper. Because I've been thinking deeper, I realized, wait, I've been doing this with all my leaders, but I've never done this with the administrative assistants. What a big mistake. So I did collages with them, and we did the strength finders. And if you want to know what those things are, just send me an IM and I'll send you the tools and how to do this for your team. Because these are really, really deep. And Joe, you may remember when we did these with our team, 10 years ago? Anyway, so the collages and the strength finders cost every one of the administrative assistants in the division to come out of ignorance and to get into a place of understanding. We got to know each other at a much deeper level, and we got to understand each other at a much deeper level. And it was so funny when we were doing the team blend for the strength finders. And you'll understand all of this. If you want to know more about this, this is really critical in creating trust, in creating relationship, and in going very deep, very quickly in an organization when you take a brand new team. So if you want to know more about this, just send me an IM, and I can absolutely help you to do this with your clients or with your people. So it cost us to go from ignorance back to ignorance, which is so very critical and so present in our relationships, in our business, in our personal relationships with our children. Sometimes we judge and we put them in the doghouse without even knowing what happened or what was happening behind the scenes that caused something like that to happen. So always think about, hey Pam, thank you for joining. And Sandy, good morning. So always think about the role that ignorance plays in our minds and in our relationships with people, and even in our business transactions. If we judge someone because of something, again, that mental imprint that we talked about, then shame on us, right? So this particular exercise that I did on Monday with all my administrative assistants was a new way of doing what I do, by really taking a look at every crevice of my division and bringing out every single individual that plays a role, a significant role on my team. So it's no longer only about my customers and my employees. And when I was thinking about my employees, I've always known that the administrative assistant role is critical to the organization, but I've never done the collages and the strength finders or any of that. By doing that, you should have seen the reaction of the administrative assistants after I had that meeting on Monday with them. It was absolutely amazing, the transformation that happened in the teamwork and how they're able to work together as a team to create something completely unprecedented with everybody else. Hey, Matt, thank you for joining. So that was something that was really critical for me on Monday. And then Tuesday, I posted a picture, and it was Tuesday night when we were getting the setup for the conference. And I posted this picture like this because I was so excited about signing the books and all of that. Now, posting that picture in the evening caused a little bit of folks coming to the conference on Thursday when I spoke. And I've got to tell you, there was another situation on Wednesday of a conversation I had with one of my employees, and it was a deep conversation, and it was wonderful. When I walked in to the office, to this particular office, and I was just doing a branch visit, and in my world, I go out and visit branches, and I get to know the people, every one of the people, and I go deeper in conversation with them to create trust with them. And it's really important to continuously create trust, because it's like continuously living in a relationship with someone where things are always changing. Just back to what I learned in Vipassana. Things are always changing, and whatever comes goes. So because of that, it's really important to continuously be in touch with my people. So I did that. I was visiting one of my branches, and I had this conversation with this individual. Immediately when I walked in, because I am more conscious of what's happening around me, I am a lot more aware of my own feelings and my own body's reaction to outside stimuli. I realized immediately before she even opened her mouth to talk, oh my gosh, I'm experiencing something different from her since the last time I spoke. Turns out she was talking to a client, and I'll tell you my email later. And I was talking to a client, and she said, this client is very young, and his business has grown up to $25 million very quickly, in under 4 years, very, very quickly. And he needed to purchase a warehouse. He said, I have so much inventory, I now have to purchase a bigger warehouse. And then he calls her and says, I want to buy a Lamborghini. What do you think? Should I buy a Lamborghini? My banker. And she said, heck no. What are you doing buying a Lamborghini? You need to buy a warehouse. Besides, how is that going to show up? And these are the types of conversations that she's now having with her clients. Now, I noticed that there was something different about her this time from the last time I talked to her. Alexander from Germany, how are you? And so when, so this conversation would not have happened had I not noticed something different in her. Maybe I would have had a more shallow conversation with her. And as a result, I was able to bring this example up to someone in the corporate executive board. And I told her, you know, this is what differentiates us in my business. It's how we approach our clients and how we are definite advisors for our clients. Let me give you this example. So I gave her the example, and she said, wow, oh my gosh, nobody's doing this, and other banks need to look at this. And so again, something so simple as being aware of the sensations in my body caused me to go deeper into something that I observed, and I experienced it completely different. And I went deeper with this particular employee, and I had this conversation, and now we're going to be making a difference for others. And it's wonderful to have that type of awareness. At the conference, I did something completely different. Some of you saw, Andre, how are you? New York, how are you? Hopefully I'll see you next week. So at the conference, I did something different. I started with a Facebook Live, and I wanted to bring the experience to you, because I noticed that most people just sit in the audience and observe, and people are talking to them. And I thought, well, I'm in the back. I've got my phone. Why not bring the audience with me? So I started a Facebook Live from the back, and I showed you what it's like behind the scenes. Don't you ever want to see what happens behind the scenes? And how do they announce? Where does this voice of God come from? And how do they announce? And then what does it look like for the speaker before they walk out? Because before I walked out, I had this, my heart was thumping because I was excited, and I was a little bit nervous. There were a lot of people in the audience, and I wanted to take you with me. By taking you with me and by putting you out there and showing the people, hey, you're on Facebook Live, say hi to people, and taking you with me, it gave me a piece, maybe some peace. Also, it felt really pleasant to be able to bring you with me and to share that experience with you, because I love to share. And then the conversation, the dialogue that I had with the audience, if you were in the audience, it was magical. It was magical for me because I felt one with the audience. And I felt like the men and the women in the audience were completely connected with my message and were completely connected with me. I was able to, for the first time, oh my gosh, I just realized this. For the first time, I stood up and I felt one with everybody. And what I got from people in the audience later was that they were completely connected with me, and that everybody in the audience was completely connected. Now, to have that many people connected all at the same time, it's usually not easy, but this was really simple. And all it took was for me to just be completely aware and give my soul and really focus out. After I spoke, I went back to my area, and I even got serenaded with a violin, and there's somebody posted it, and thank goodness, because somebody was recording it. And how many times have you seen something happen like that, where after a speaker comes back down, there was an entourage following, and how wonderful it was, and how humbling it is to be able to make a difference for so many people. And the people that were there are influencers and make a difference for other people. People like Dr. Mark Goldstein, who is going to Russia to speak about the art of listening. Dear friend now, and he gets to carry that with him. So think about the difference we can make for others. And I'm just going to leave you with this. When we are aware of what is truly happening, and together with that awareness, when we're able to be objective and not judge based on ignorance, the difference that we can make for the people we touch, we don't realize how much of a difference we make for the people we touch. There was a dinner that my old employees from 1989 through now had for me on Wednesday night, and they surprised me. There were many people, my first teller from when I was first a branch manager, to managers from Howie from Las Vegas, and Roger, who was managing San Diego way back when, and Tori from all over. People drove from everywhere, and it was just such a pleasant experience. But they wrote little cards, and they call them Bettyisms, the things that they've learned throughout the years. And it was just so interesting to see. And actually, Bob, thank you, Bob. How are you? Roger said, my wife was going to write down, my wife really wanted to write down all of the things that you did for me that changed our marriage and that really changed my life as a leader. And how humbling it is for us. And if you could just center yourself just for a moment, stop the clock, and look at the influence you have on other people, whether you like it or not, whether you know it or not. They wrote little cards of the things they learned from me, and those are things: humility, integrity, being on time, being your word, being a man of honor. So many different things that are opportunities for us to teach people with our actions and not so much with our words. So this week coming up, I just invite you to really ponder upon the opportunity we all have as leaders to make a difference, and to not take lightly who we are. And yes, Iman, be present. Be 100% present. And being present means not having your mind going all over the place when you're having a conversation with someone, but being able to give them the gift of being present just with them, and being aware of what's happening around us without judgment, and being completely objective. So that's it for today. Next week I'll talk about next week I'll talk about day 8. I had to stop for a moment because I'm going to be traveling to New York next week. In 2 weeks, for the Fortune magazine's Latina Top 50 Most Powerful Women, and I'm really excited and very humbled to be part of that. So, but I will be in town, I believe, on Saturday, so I'll be able to post on Saturday morning at 8. We will be posting about day 8. Thank you so much, and I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions about the Strength Finders or the collages or anything I talked about, just send me an IM and I'll send you the information on how to do it yourself for your team. Thanks a lot. And for the mothers on here, happy Mother's Day. Being a mother is an incredible thing. But having a mother and having people that you look up to is something so beautiful. Thank you. And thank you, Iman. And thank you, everybody. Love you all. Talk to you later. Bye.